First speaker stood motionless before the Grand Council's viewing screen, their four eyes fixed on the scene playing out before them. The human settlement on Mars shouldn't have survived the dust storm, yet there it was, still standing. The inhabitants had used their primitive rovers as makeshift shields, linking them together to create a barrier against the raging winds. It made no logical sense, but it had worked. "They continue to perplex us," Second Elder's voice echoed through the chamber. "First, they defeat our best battle units with their outdated weapons. And now this." First speaker's skin shifted from its usual blue to a thoughtful green. For 3 cycles, they had watched the humans, study their every move, and still couldn't predict their actions. The Council had assigned them this task after the humans had somehow pushed back the Collective's peacekeeping force. No one had expected the humans to win that encounter. Their ships were centuries behind in technology, their weapons were practically ancient, and their battle tactics seemed random at best. Perhaps, first speaker began carefully, "We are looking at them wrong. We keep expecting them to follow logical patterns, to behave as we would." The council chamber fell silent. First speaker moved closer to the viewing screen, pointing at the human settlement. "Look at how they modified their mining equipment to survive the storm. No species in the collective would think to use tools this way. We designed specific solutions for specific problems. Humans, they see possibilities in everything." Third Elder's voice cut through the silence. "You sound almost admiring of these primitives, first speaker. Need I remind you of your position?" The warning was clear, but first speaker couldn't stay quiet. Their research over the past cycles had shown something remarkable. The humans don't just survive, they adapt. When their ships were outmatched by our energy weapons, they filled space with debris to scatter our targeting systems. When their communications were jammed, they used their planet's magnetosphere to bounce signals. Every time we think we understand their limitations, they find a way around them. The viewing screen switched to various images from Earth. Humans living in frozen wastelands, burning deserts, deep underwater, and high in the mountains. They thrived everywhere, using whatever was available to them. "Most fascinating is their technology," first speaker continued. "They don't wait for perfect solutions. They build, test, fail, and rebuild. Their progress is messy, inefficient, but incredibly fast. In the time we've been observing them, they've advanced their AI systems 3 generations. It's unprecedented and dangerous," Fourth Elder added. "Their development pattern is chaotic. They have no proper order to their advancement. They created space travel before they cured all their diseases. They developed nuclear weapons before they unified their planet. They're a threat to the stability of the galaxy." First speaker's skin rippled with disagreement, a gesture they quickly tried to suppress. "Or they're exactly what the galaxy needs. The collective has been stagnant for millennia. We advance along predetermined paths, each discovery building logically on the last. Humans, they jump forward in unexpected ways. They make connections we would never consider." "Enough." Second Elder's voice boomed through the chamber. "You were assigned to study them. First speaker, not become their advocate. We need to understand their weaknesses, not their strengths." But first speaker couldn't let go of what they had seen. The humans' greatest weakness might actually be their greatest strength, their unpredictability. While the collective saw chaos in human actions, first speaker was beginning to see a different kind of pattern, one based on innovation, adaptation, and an endless drive to overcome limitations. As they left the council chamber, first speaker made a decision. They would continue their research, but not to find weaknesses. They needed to understand what made humans so unique, so resilient, because something told them that the future of the galaxy might depend not on the collective's ordered advancement, but on humanity's chaotic leap into the unknown. The humans had a saying that first speaker had come across in their research: "Necessity is the mother of invention." Perhaps it was time for the collective to learn what that truly meant. The mining facility on Mars wasn't supposed to fail. First speaker watched through their observation pod as red warning lights flashed across the human compound. The main reactor core was breaking down, and the backup systems weren't responding. According to all logical calculations, everyone inside should have evacuated immediately. But the humans weren't leaving. First speaker's monitoring devices picked up their communications. The reactor's failure would destroy not just the facility, but also the underground farms that fed 3 other colonies. 253 humans would die without those food supplies. The logical choice was to abandon the facility and request emergency supplies from Earth. The humans made a different choice. "We're going to fix it," the facility manager announced over the common channel. "Team Alpha, get those coolant pipes working. Team Beta, reroute power from the solar array. Everyone else, grab whatever you can carry to engineering." First speaker watched in confusion as humans started running through the corridors carrying the strangest collection of items. Kitchen freezer units, parts from their entertainment systems, even cooling pipes from their personal living quarters. None of these things were meant to repair a reactor. "This is madness," Second Elder's voice came through First Speaker's communication unit. "They'll all die. Order an immediate evacuation." "Wait," First Speaker replied, their skin turning a deep purple with excitement. "They're doing something." In the main engineering room, humans worked with incredible speed. They took apart their freezer units, using the coolant systems to create a makeshift cooling circuit for the reactor. Entertainment system power regulators were rewired to help control the energy flow. Living quarter cooling pipes were connected to form an emergency heat exchange system. It shouldn't have worked. It violated at least 12 different engineering principles. The materials weren't rated for reactor use. The connections were held together with something the humans called duct tape. But somehow, it was working. "Impossible," Second Elder whispered. "Our simulations show this has a 0% chance of success." First speaker moved their observation pod closer, recording everything. "They're not following the simulations. Look at how they're using things in ways they weren't designed for. That cooling system was made for food storage, but they've modified it to handle reactor temperatures." The human facility manager's voice crackled over the channel again. "Core temperature dropping. Hold it together, people." Hour after hour, the humans worked. They didn't stop for rest cycles. They didn't follow safety protocols. When one solution failed, they tried another. When they ran out of parts, they made new ones. Their reactor repair manual lay forgotten in a corner while they invented new solutions on the spot. First speaker had never seen anything like it. In the collective, every problem had a proper solution. Every repair followed exact procedures. Innovation happened slowly, carefully, with countless tests and simulations. These humans were breaking every rule in the book and succeeding. Finally, after 26 hours, the reactor stabilized. The humans cheered, hugged each other, and immediately started planning how to make their temporary fixes permanent. How did they know this would work? Second Elder demanded. Where were their calculations? Their simulations. First speaker's skin rippled with revelation. They didn't know. They hoped. They tried things that might work instead of waiting for things that would work. And when those things failed, they tried something else. In the facility below, humans were already improving their makeshift repairs, making jokes about bubble gum and paper clips holding their reactor together. They seemed proud of their messy solution, even as they worked to make it better. "This must be reported to the council," Second Elder said. "Their disregard for proper procedures is dangerous." But First Speaker wasn't so sure anymore. The humans had saved not just themselves, but hundreds of others. They had done it by ignoring everything the collective believed about proper engineering and safety protocols. Perhaps there was something to learn from their chaos after all. First Speaker began collecting more examples of human behavior after the Mars incident. Their observation pod traveled between Earth and its colonies, recording everything. What they found kept challenging their understanding of how intelligent species should behave. In the ice mines of Europa, They watched humans talk to their mining robots as if they were alive. The robots were simple machines, barely smarter than a data pad, but the humans gave them names. They celebrated the robots' birthdays, drew faces on them, and even held farewell parties when old units were replaced. They form emotional attachments to machines, First Speaker reported to their research log. At first, I thought this was primitive thinking, but these emotional bonds make them treat their equipment better. Their machines last longer and work more efficiently than ours. The human's strange behavior didn't stop there. In the orbital stations, First Speaker observed them keeping plants and small animals as pets. They decorated their living spaces with colors and patterns that served no practical purpose. They spent hours in virtual reality not just for training, but for something they call fun. Your reports are disturbing, Third Elder's message stated. These humans waste time and resources on useless activities. They treat non-living things as if they were alive. This is not the behavior of a species ready to join the galactic community. But First Speaker was starting to see something different. Each useless activity seemed to help the humans in unexpected ways. Their decorated spaces made them work better. Their emotional bonds with machines and animals helped them understand different types of life. Even their games taught them to solve problems in new ways. The most surprising discovery came when First Speaker studied human scientific research. The collected scientists worked in careful, orderly ways. Each discovery followed logically from the last. But humans jumped around, combining ideas from different fields. A human doctor might use engineering concepts to solve a medical problem. A musician might help solve a physics puzzle. They called these creative leaps, and they happened all the time. One day, First Speaker watched a team of human scientists trying to understand a strange signal from deep space. The collective had studied these signals for centuries using proper mathematical analysis. The humans tried mathematics too, but they also played the signal as music. They turned it into colors. They even used it to make patterns in sand. This is not how science works, Fourth Elder complained during the daily report. They're treating serious research like a child's game. But then the humans found something in the signal that the collective had missed for 300 years. By turning it into music, they noticed a pattern that didn't show up in the mathematical analysis. First Speaker's skin turned bright yellow with excitement as they recorded this discovery. Humans don't just solve problems, they note it in their log. They play with them. They look at them from angles that make no logical sense. And sometimes, those illogical angles lead to breakthroughs. The evidence was becoming clear. Humans weren't just another primitive species slowly climbing toward civilization. They were something else, something new. Their chaos had a pattern to it. Their emotional thinking led to logical results. Their ability to see connections between unrelated things helped them advance in ways the collective had never considered. We need to study them more closely, First Speaker sent in their report to the Council. Not to find their weaknesses, but to understand their strengths. The way they combine emotion and logic, the way they find patterns in chaos. It's not primitive thinking. It's a different kind of intelligence. The Council didn't respond, but First Speaker kept watching, kept learning. Because with each new observation, they became more certain. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their resources. It was in their ability to think in ways that no other species could understand. The emergency alert reached First Speaker while they were observing the human art exhibition in orbit around Saturn. The message was marked with the highest priority. A new virus was spreading through the collective's worlds, and nothing could stop it. First Speaker's skin turned ash gray as they read the details. The virus didn't just kill, it changed its victims. Those infected lost their ability to think clearly. They became aggressive, unpredictable. Already, 3 worlds had fallen into chaos. The Council demands your immediate return, Second Elder's message stated. All observers must attend the emergency session. In the Council chamber, the numbers told a frightening story. Standard medical procedures had failed. Quarantine zones didn't work because the virus kept changing. The collective's best scientists had tried everything in their manual of approved treatments, but nothing helped. "It's engineered," Third Elder announced. "Our enemies have created something that attacks our very way of thinking. It turns order into chaos." First Speaker listened as the council debated the same solutions over and over. More quarantines, stricter procedures, better monitoring. But their skin was turning purple with an idea they knew the council wouldn't like. "We should ask the humans for help," First Speaker said. The chamber fell silent. Then, all at once, voices rose in protest. Primitives. They barely understand viral medicine. Their methods are dangerous and untested. But First Speaker moved to the center of the chamber and activated the viewing screen. "Look at their history. Humans have faced similar challenges. They'd survived dozens of plagues. Each time, they found solutions in unexpected places. Their survival was luck," Fourth Elder argued. "They simply tried random treatments until something worked." "No," First Speaker's skin rippled with certainty. "They tried everything. When traditional medicine failed, they looked elsewhere. They combined old cures with new technology. They found answers in nature, in chemistry, even in their primitive computers." The viewing screen showed scenes from human medical research. Their laboratories looked messy and disorganized to collective eyes, but their results were undeniable. They had cured diseases that should have wiped them out. "The virus keeps changing because it was engineered to understand our patterns," First Speaker continued. "We're too predictable. We follow the same procedures every time. But humans, they think differently. They try things that make no sense to us." Second Elder's skin turned dark with anger. "You suggest we trust our survival to creatures who still fight wars among themselves, who can't even unite their own planet." "Yes," First Speaker said firmly, "because those same creatures survived when everything was against them. They've beaten viruses that changed as fast as this one. They found cures that no one expected to work." The debate raged for hours. The council members argued about procedure, about dignity, about the proper way to handle a crisis. Meanwhile, reports kept coming in of new worlds falling to the virus. Finally, First Elder raised their hand for silence. "The traditional ways have failed us. Perhaps it is time to try something new." The vote was close, but in the end, desperation won over pride. The council would request human help, but with conditions. The humans would work under collective supervision. They would follow proper safety protocols. They would submit all their proposals for council approval. First Speaker knew these conditions would slow the humans down, but it was a start. As they prepared to return to Earth with the council's request, they wondered how the humans would react. Would they help the species that had dismissed them as primitives? Would they share their chaotic, brilliant ways of solving problems? Their skin tingled with both fear and hope. The collective's greatest crisis might also be its greatest opportunity, if they could learn to see the universe through human eyes. The human response to the collective's request surprised everyone. Instead of demanding payment or advantages, they simply asked for all the data about the virus. Within hours, research teams around Earth were studying the problem. First Speaker watched as Dr. Tom Reed, a human scientist, led the main research team. The doctor didn't work like any collective researcher First Speaker had ever seen. His laboratory looked like a mix between a medical center and an art studio. "The virus changes its pattern every few hours," Dr. Reed explained, pointing to colorful drawings on his walls. "So I drew out its different forms. Sometimes seeing things helps you think about them differently." The collective scientists in the room looked confused. Drawing pictures wasn't part of proper virus research. But First Speaker's skin tingled with interest as they watched the human team work. They didn't just study the virus through microscopes. They created computer models that turned its genetic code into music. They built physical models using children's building blocks. They even asked poets and artists to look at the data and share what patterns they saw. "This is not science," one collective scientist complained. They're wasting valuable time with games while more people die. But Dr. Reed's team kept working their own way. They brought in experts from different fields, not just doctors and biologists, but musicians, mathematicians, and even game designers. Each person looked at the virus differently. "Look at this," Dr. Reed said one day, playing a musical sequence. "When we turn the virus's changes into sound, there's a pattern. It's like a piece of music that keeps repeating." The collective scientists didn't understand, but a music professor in the team got excited. "It's like a fugue," she said. "Each change follows musical rules. If we can predict the next note, we can predict how the virus will change," Dr. Reed finished. "And if we know that, we can create a treatment that changes with it," first speaker said, their skin turning bright yellow with sudden understanding. The human team worked faster now. They combined their strange ideas with the collective's advanced technology. When traditional medicines didn't work, they tried natural remedies from Earth's rainforests. When those didn't work, they designed new molecules based on the musical patterns they'd found. The collective council watched with growing concern as the humans broke rule after rule. They tested multiple treatments at once instead of following proper testing order. They combined medicines in ways that had never been tried. They even used modified computer game code to predict how the virus would change. "They're going to kill everyone," Second Elder warned. "This is not how medical research is done." But then the first test results came in. The human treatment wasn't just stopping the virus, it was adapting as the virus changed, following the pattern they had discovered in their musical analysis. "It's working," Dr. Reed announced, looking tired but happy. "The treatment changes with the virus, like two dancers following the same music." First speaker watched as more results came in from other testing sites. The humans had done it. They had found a solution that no one in the collective would have ever considered. They had turned a medical crisis into a kind of art, and somehow that had led them to the answer. "How did you know this would work?" a collective scientist asked Dr. Reed. The doctor smiled. "We didn't, but we've learned that the universe is full of patterns. Sometimes you have to look at things from many different angles to find them. Music, art, games, they're all ways of seeing patterns that your eyes might miss." First speaker's skin rippled with joy as they recorded these words. The humans hadn't just found a cure. They had shown the collective a whole new way of looking at the universe. First speaker stood in their favorite observation spot near Earth's moon, watching the blue planet spin below. After 6 months, the virus crisis was over. The human cure had worked better than anyone expected. But something else had changed too. The way first speakers saw the universe. Their research pod was filled with items from human culture now. Paintings hung on the walls. Music played softly in the background. A small plant grew in the corner. A gift from Dr. Reed's team. The collective would have called these things unnecessary, distracting. But first speaker had learned to see their value. "You've gone native," Second Elder said during the daily report. "Your last 3 reports included poetry." Poetry. In a scientific document. "The humans taught me something," first speaker replied. "Numbers and facts tell only part of the story. Sometimes you need art to understand the whole truth." They switched their screen to show the latest data from the cured worlds. The virus was gone, but it had left something behind. A change in how people thought. Those who recovered found themselves thinking more freely, seeing new patterns, making unexpected connections. The virus didn't just make people sick, first speaker explained. It tried to change how we think. But instead of fighting those changes, the humans showed us how to use them. They taught us to see chaos as a source of new ideas. Second Elder's skin turned gray with worry. The council is concerned. More of our scientists are asking to study human methods. Young ones especially want to try their creative approaches. They're even talking about music and art having a place in research. First speaker felt their skin ripple with joy. "Don't you see? This is what makes humans special. They don't just solve problems. They change how we think about problems. They show us new ways to see the universe. The viewing screen showed scenes from across the collective. Young scientists were setting up laboratories that looked more like human ones, full of colors and shapes and strange tools. They were trying new things, breaking old rules, finding new answers. It's spreading beyond science. First speaker continued. Our architects are learning from human cities how they mix beauty with function. Our teachers are using human games to help students learn. Even our artists are trying human styles, mixing emotion with logic in new ways. This could destroy our whole society, Second Elder warned. We've built our civilization on order and logic. These human ideas could tear everything apart. But First Speaker's research showed something different. The worlds that embraced human ideas weren't falling into chaos. They were growing stronger. They solved problems faster. They discovered new things. They created better ways of living. Humans don't destroy order, First Speaker explained. They find order in chaos. They see patterns we miss because we're too focused on following rules. They show us how to bend without breaking. Their skin shifted to show memories. Humans fixing the reactor on Mars, finding patterns in the virus, turning problems into games and games into solutions. Each time, they had succeeded not by following the rules, but by seeing beyond them. We thought they were primitive because they didn't follow our path, First Speaker said. But they were following a different path, one we couldn't see. They don't just use technology. They dream it into being. They don't just solve problems. They transform them. The daily report was running long, but First Speaker had one more thing to share. They switched the screen to show Earth again, that blue world that had changed everything. The humans have given us something precious, they said, not just a cure for the virus, but a cure for our rigid thinking. They've shown us that there's more than one way to be advanced, more than one path to understanding the universe. Second Elder was silent for a long time. Finally, they asked, "What do we do with this knowledge?" First Speaker's skin glowed with determination. We learn from it. We grow from it. And maybe we become something new, something neither human nor collective, but a bridge between both ways of thinking. The Great Council chamber was fuller than First Speaker had ever seen it. Representatives from every collective world had come to hear their final report on humanity. The viewing screens showed millions more watching from across the galaxy. First Speaker stood in the center, their skin shifting between colors as they prepared to share everything they had learned. The chamber walls, usually plain and white, now displayed human art, a controversial choice that had sparked much debate. What can be said of humans? First Speaker began. A year ago, we called them primitive. We dismissed their chaos, their emotion, their strange ways of thinking. We were wrong. The viewing screen showed images from First Speaker's research. Humans building impossible things with simple tools. Humans finding answers in music and art. Humans turning games into solutions and dreams into reality. Humans don't follow paths. They make new ones. When they can't go over an obstacle, they go around it. When they can't go around it, they dig under it. And when nothing else works, they change the rules of the game. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Changing rules was not the collective way. But First Speaker continued, showing the Mars reactor incident, the virus cure, and dozens of other examples. We thought their chaos was weakness, but it gives them strength. They try things that shouldn't work, and sometimes those things work better than our perfect plans. They feel emotions we tried to evolve past, but those emotions help them see connections we miss. First Speaker touched a control, and music filled the chamber, a piece created by human and collective artists working together. It mixed logical patterns with emotional flows in ways that would have seemed impossible a year ago. They taught us that there's more than one kind of intelligence, more than one way to solve a problem. They showed us that play can lead to discovery, that art can reveal scientific truth, that dreams can become reality. The screen showed new images, collective scientists working in colorful laboratories, young ones learning through games, artists and engineers working side by side. The changes were spreading, transforming the collective in ways no one had expected. Some fear these changes. First speaker acknowledge. They say humans will destroy our order, our perfect systems. But look at what they've already given us. New medicines, new technologies, new ways of thinking. They haven't destroyed our order. They've shown us how to make it stronger by making it more flexible. Their skin turned to a deep, confident blue as they reached the most important part of their report. Humans have something we lost long ago: the ability to see wonder in the universe. They don't just study stars, they write poems about them. They don't just build machines, they make them beautiful. They turn work into play, problems into opportunities, and limitations into challenges. First speaker showed their final piece of evidence, a recording from a human classroom where children learned about space. The children's eyes were full of excitement as they asked questions no collective scientist would think to ask, imagined possibilities no collective engineer would consider. This is humanity's greatest gift to us, first speaker said. Not their technology or their solutions, but their way of seeing the universe. They remind us that logic and emotion, order and chaos, science and art, these things don't have to fight each other. They can work together to create something greater than either alone. The chamber was silent as first speaker concluded. So what can be said of humans? They are not primitive. They are not chaos. They are explorers, dreamers, inventors. They are a mirror showing us parts of ourselves we forgot existed. And if we are wise, they will be our partners in discovering wonders we never imagined possible. As the council began their discussions, first speaker's skin glowed with hope. The universe was changing, and humanity had shown them how to change with it. Together, they would write a new chapter in the story of life among the stars.